Hey guys, I haven't got a Cardfight Vanguard up for you today. Instead, I've got a deck analysis. Now, this is at the request of a YouTube user who commented on my video of me using my Murakumos. The problem is I've changed the deck a fair bit. I've taken cards out and tweaked it, and I feel I've changed it for the better. So I'll talk about the reasons why I've changed it and other options I have available to you. So the Murakumo clan is part of the Dragon Empire nation, which is the same nation as the Kagurus, the Tachikazes, the Narakamis, and all those guys. But I feel that those decks are a lot more offensively natured, where the Murakumos are definitely more sort of like orientated around being defensive. That being said, this deck has got a good offensive strategy whilst maintaining that defensive mind. Now, that may make no sense to you, kind of didn't to me, but as we talk about the cards, I will talk about how they work and the implications of that statement. So this is the ride chain. It's the Magastu series, which is going to be out in set 9. So that's going to be in England and America around about June of this year, and I really can't wait. There's some great cards available in that set. The Murakumo clan is getting a lot of support. Now this ride chain is slightly different to ride chains similar to like the set 4 ride chains, where when the grade 1 rides upon the grade 0, you don't search the grade 2. It's slightly different, and we'll talk about that as we get into the cards. But I like ride chains because I'm a big Pokemon fan, and I like seeing the cards evolve. I like seeing the grade 0 as he becomes more and more of a badass before he becomes grade 3 and can become his ultimate form. So yeah, so we'll talk about the cards. So the grade 0. So here he is. This is Magastu Wind, and how he works is when the grade 1, the Magastu Breath, rides upon it, you get to look at the top 7 cards and try and find a copy of the grade 2, the Gale, or the grade 3, the Storm. Show it to your opponent and add it to your hand. Now, it's not guaranteed you're going to get one of those cards, but depending on the situation that you're in, it allows you to pick the card that you may need. So depending on our opening hand, we may already have the grade 2, so we can grab the grade 3 if it's there, or vice versa. If we think about maps here, we've got the grade 0 down, that's 1 card. We've drawn our 5 for our opening hand, that's 6. We draw for turn, 7 cards are removed from our deck. That means we've got 43 cards left. And we're running hard numbers here, we've got 4, 4, 4. So that means there's 8 cards out of that 43 what we're going to need. So there's a high chance you're going to get what you need. Like I said, there's no guarantee, but at least the maps and the chance are on our side. The other part of the text is when another Murakumo rides this unit, you may call it to rearguard. So you could keep it in the soul if you wish, that's important. So we'll go on to the grade 1s. And we're running 4, 4, 4 of grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. That's for consistency and because we definitely want the skills to go off, so we definitely need that guy. Like most ride chains, all the ride chain will get an additional 1000 when you've got the previous one in the soul, which is quite nice. And it's a 7k booster when it's in the rear guard, so it's a bit different to sort of like player younger who'd only be a 6000 booster. I'm running 4 of the perfect guards because that's how I play the game. I always like having 4 perfect guards or / sentinels, however you prefer to call them. I know a lot of players run 3, but I'm still, as I say, I'm still going to go on 4. That may change the more I play the game, but again, I'm staying at 4. So the other cards, we're running 4 of the Vanilla 8k because it's Vanilla 8k, you can't go wrong, it's a good strong booster. And we've got 2 of the Leaf Raccoon. Now how he works, he is the special 10k booster when the situation is met. And his requirement is we need to have more cards than our opponent. And because the theme of the deck is superior cooling, which we get onto when we go to grade 2 and grade 3 ride, we should hopefully have more cards than our opponent. So we only have run those 2 copies because it's just a 6k if it's in the other 2 positions. It needs to be boosting a Vanguard. Now, the addition to the deck is we've taken out Jarya and replaced it with Ouroboros. And how Ouroboros works is this. When he comes into play, we counter blast 1 and we pick one of our grade 1 or less rear guards, and we superior cool a copy from our deck to an open rear guard. At the end of the turn, that goes at the bottom of the deck. Now with superior cooling, the problem I was finding was not having grade 1s or grade 0s behind them boosting them, and therefore not maximising my attack. With 2 additions of this guy, it would hopefully, well it will, we should have the damage, guarantee a grade 1 booster behind it. We can copy the Leaf Raccoon if we have to, but ideally we'd want to copy the Vanilla 8k Sijumaru, I believe he's called, and that's really what we want to target. So that's why I've got those guys in the deck, and I definitely feel his addition is good. So grade 2s, any 10 of these, quite low, you may be saying, but that's because we're superior cooling. I keep saying that. So how this now works with the ride chain, it's actually the grade 1 skill. When the grade 2 rides upon the grade 1, if we have the grade 0 in the soul, we may superior call up to 2 copies of the grade 2 to open rearguard. At the end of the turn, those guys go back to the bottom of the deck. So out of harm's way, they can't be drawn, they can't be dry checked, they can't be damaged, they're out of the way. So again, with Leaf Raccoon, we're not calling grade 2s to rearguard, we're keeping hand advantage. This deck is the defensive strategy, it's all about hand advantage. The offensive strategy is superior calling every turn. So that's why we have maximum of those guys, is because we want to be able to draw into them to be able to do it, and we want to be able to pull them out. If we only had 3, if one was damaged, then obviously we wouldn't be able to superior call 1, and it'd be kind of a waste of time. So the other guys I'm going for. I've taken out the 9k guy, who when he attacked a Vanguard and the attack was successful, you got to flip on your damage up. The reason being is because it's always blocked, and very rarely I get to call a grade 2 to rearguard because I'm superior calling. So I've gone for the 10k just for the extra 1000. Now you may be saying 1000 isn't much difference, and it really isn't, but I prefer Bloody Mist's artwork. Okay, I'm an artwork whore when it comes to this game, and I much prefer his artwork. Now the other grade 2 is Royal Nova. He is the special grade 2 who is similar to a Nick Roy Comrade and Eisenkugel, where if you have the correct Vanguard, he becomes a 12k attacker on the rear guard, and that's awesome. Stick an 8k behind him, you've got a 20k rear row. So rear row, 20k rear guard row. But again, as I'm hopefully going to be superior calling, the deck should hopefully firing all cylinders. We may not see these guys come into play, but yeah, I much prefer these than the other options that are available. So onto the grade 3s, and oh, I feel like I've just warped. I didn't realise I'd put that white in instead of a crossbow. Anyway, 7 of these guys. So Magastu Storm, we'll talk about him, the main guy. When he rides upon the grade 2, if the grade 1 is in the soul, you may superior call up to 2 copies of this to open a rear guard. So same skill as the grade 2. At the end of the turn, they go to the bottom of the deck. So once again, they won't be drive checked, they won't be damaged. They've gone nicely snuck away at the bottom of the deck. He also has his 1000 if the grade 2 is in the soul, so it'll be 11k. And then he's got a limit break, which is limit break 4, counterblast 2, he gains 3000, and you basically do the skill again, superior call up to 2 copies to open rear guard. Now if we've got a Leaf Raccoon behind and we've got more cards than our opponent, we'll be attacking for 24,000, and that's a magic number. Against all these sort of like cross rides, against the end, that's going to require them to do 15k for 1 trigger, so that is a magic number. Now the grade 3 I've got with him is Mandala Lord. I've gone back to Mandala Lord. Now previously I had the Toad, but I've taken him out. And the reason why I've gone for Mandala Lord is because if he's at rearguard, if I have to call him to rearguard, he's 11,000 instead of being 10,000. And his skill is defensive minded, and it's quite nice. So if things are going bad, we want to be defensively minded. Now I do require another copy of him from my hands to do his skill, and we haven't got guys like Cursed Breath or the grade 1 to pull him out of the deck, but with the other options, I feel he's better. Now there is the Wolf that's coming out, who has a counterblast 2 to superior call, so that is an option I may try out. That's a potential option. And there's the normal guy, which every clan has, with his 10k, but when he in the rear row, when he attacks a Vanguard, he gets plus 2,000. But I'm thinking more of a Vanguard guy, so I'm going for Mandala Lord because I really like his artwork. But I would definitely say the Fox or the Wolf is a just as viable supporting or potential of a grade 3. So onto the triggers. Now this is how I personally as a player like my trigger setup to be. 4 draw, 2 stand, 4 heal, 6 criticals. Now stand triggers are offensive triggers. They do nothing for you when you're being damaged and you draw them, because standing a rear guard when you're being hit or when your opponent is attacking doesn't help you in any way, shape or form. But it does help on the attack, and there's been so many times where I've played only having 2 of these guys and I get one, and that's what wins me the game. Having a 4th attack wins me the game. Now, one thing I do really hate is 5k guarding vanilla draw triggers. They do nothing. They do nothing. I hate the fact that you got like Margle, who has, you go into the soul, you get and you can get plus 3,000. And I hate the fact that the crit trigger in this deck has that, because I'll be losing a 10k shield for doing it. I don't mind losing a 5k shield from a draw, but losing a 10k shield, that's painful. Now back to the stand trigger. Now the stand trigger has got a skill where when you put it in the deck, you can into your soul, you can flip over one of your damage. I would love it if that skill was on the draw trigger. I'd still run 2 stands, but I would much prefer But that's an inconsistency which you find in the game, that some clans have got the skills on their draws and others don't. So that's just a bugbear of mine really, but pretty straightforward with the triggers. Now, so these are the guys, the main guys I've taken out. And let's talk about how they work, and then we'll talk about why we're taking them out. So Jarya, he's the grade 1. When he comes into play, you call him the rear guard, you counterblast 1, and then you put him on the bottom of your deck. You then superior call the grade 3 toad to open rear guard, and it stays there. It doesn't go back in the deck, it stays there, then you shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's quite nice that when you're on your grade 2 ride, you could then, because that's when you'll take damage, you've gone first, you could then counterblast and then you get a grade 3 on the field. But it's just a 10k vanilla. It has got skills which does make it bigger. When it's in the Vanguard circle, it gets plus 3,000 if there's another toad in the rear guard. But if it's in the rear guard, it only gets plus 1,000 if there's another toad in the rear guard. So it could work within another deck if you were running a lot of toads. But I just feel that when I'm superior calling units, when I'm doing the ride chain, I haven't got room for the toad to be out there because of superior call units, and that's why I went for a Burrow, because he helped me get grade 1s. The problem I was finding was not having enough grade 1s or grade 0s if need be, boosting my front row, so the attacks were being easily blocked. And a Burrow essentially sorts out that problem. So I'd rather superior call a grade 1 than a grade 3. So this picture is kind of pointless, but it kind of demonstrates almost an optimal field. So we can imagine we've either limit broke or we have rode the grade 3 upon the grade 2, and we've now got a front row Magastu Storms. Now the 2 front row rear guards will go back into our deck at the end of the turn, but if we have done superior calling, we should hopefully have more cards than our opponent. So we've got 18k on the right, we've got 21k down the middle, and then we've got 18k down the left. If we've limit broke, we've got 18k, 23, 18, and we've maintained hand advantage. So again, if we did have the Royal Novas either side of our Vanguard, we would actually have 20, maybe 21, but maybe only actually 17, 20. So that's the risk of kind of having Leaf Raccoon behind the Vanguard, is if we haven't got the requirement of having more cards than our opponent, we're going to not get that additional attack power. But then if we had a 8k behind him, that's only a 2k deficit, so that isn't all that bad really when I consider it. But like I said, there is other options of grade 1s. If we had the Mandala Lord at the side, that would be attacking for 19k at that side. But yeah, it's all down to more testing and more personal preference. So this is the deck list for you guys, so you can kind of look at the cards and also look at the rarity. There's not that many really rare cards. I mean, the Magastu Wind is only a single rare. Obviously the Perfect Guard or the Sentinel is a double rare. But the Breath is normally a common. But Burrow is only a rare. Then in the grade 2s, we just got rares. Now a lot of the time, grade 2 ride chains, the grade 2 is a double rare. I had so much trouble getting Enigman Waves and Blaukrugers because they're double rare, where these guys are only single rare. Then obviously in grade 3 we've got Magastu Storm, who's triple rare, and Mandala, who's triple rare. I believe the Fox / Wolf is only a double rare. But anyway guys, yeah, thanks very much. I hope you guys found this video a bit informative. And I would recommend trying out the Murakumos. Set 9, they're getting so much support. They're going to be a really good clan. I really do enjoy playing them. Now that I've done a deck profile of the Murakumos, I'll have a video. Because I did a deck profile of Stern Blaukruger, I kind of feel like next video I will do a Stern Blaukruger match, and that will kind of wrap that up nicely. And then the next one I'm going to move on to, I think, is going to be Grand Blue. Because, you know, I'm a big anime fan, I'm more of a manga fan to be honest, and I like Naruto, and that's why I started this deck, the whole doppelganger technique. But because I love One Piece, I think Pirates are going to be next, so Grand Blue is definitely the next guys I go for. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Adios.